for safety for children, but particularly on a distraction-free environment in schools, whose time has come. And I want to thank all of the leaders there. They're out here lobbying all day. You're going to be going to different offices. I know you have a letter that has, 80,000 signatures. It's not a small thing to do, so they'll be making sure everyone has a letter from Common Sense Media to talk about why they're focusing so much on this. And we think about the fact that our number one job as elected leaders, as parents, is to protect children. They are vulnerable. They may be teenagers and think they know everything. I know, I've raised teenagers. But sometimes there's a cry for help that goes unanswered because people allow the status quo to continue. The status quo right now in the state of New York is unacceptable because we have an environment in school which should be distraction-free. The focus should be on the teacher in front of the classroom. And during break time, the focus should be on deepening relationships, creating human connections, whether it's in the hallway, whether it's study hall, whether it's in lunch. This has been lost. Childhoods have been stolen by a cell phone that has become all-encompassing. That has been the primary focus for years now, and that has to stop. We are seeing the decline in mental health of our children like we could never have predicted. There's enough stress to be a young person, whether you're in middle school or high school. There's enough stress. But to have to worry about whether you're being mocked out on social media, there's a gathering that people are excluding you and people are mocking out your clothes. These are real stories I've heard from students. It's too much, and it's so hard to be a teacher. The teachers, 72% of whom say they can't compete anymore. They can't compete. And teachers are frustrated because they want to help the children succeed. Parents want their children to succeed, but we've set them up for failure by allowing this to continue so long. It's not an easy lift because there are always forces against change. It's going to be a dramatic change. But I've been talking about this for over a year now. I've continued to meet people all over the state. I've taken on in this very room the administrators and school superintendents and school board and talked to them about, is this the best situation for our children? Now they have told me they know it's not, but it's hard to be the one who says no. I will be the one who says no. That's why in my budget I just announced a landmark piece of legislation, something I'm championing right now in the next few weeks as we negotiate the budget, which is an entirely bell-to-bell, distraction-free environment for our students. I'm committed to the cause, as are our leaders from Common Sense. I want to thank them once again for what they're doing for us. But how can we continue something going on in our state that we know is harmful to the mental health of our kids? Let's liberate our children. Let's get this done. Thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to bring up Allison DeVore to deliver some remarks for us. Allison.
Good morning, and thank you, Governor. I'm a New York mother of two sons, two teenage sons. One of them goes to a very large top public high school in New York City. I'm also a proud member of the New York Advisory Council of Common Sense Media, and Common Sense is the largest child advocacy organization protecting kids online and enabling kids to thrive in the digital world. We had a great discussion this morning and appreciate the time that the governor has spent listening to the teachers, to parents like myself, and health experts on this issue. This legislative session gives lawmakers a crucial opportunity to help New York schools become less distracted learning spaces, and that includes the hallways and the cafeteria. Common Sense's research reveals that smartphone distractions are significantly impacting the academic achievement and the well-being of the students. Nearly 70% of teens report that social media distracts them from schoolwork, and other studies have consistently found negative correlations between their achievements in the classroom and the use of the phone. The evidence is clear. Smartphones in classrooms and in the schools are disrupting the learning environments and the kids' ability to socialize in between and process the learning. The evidence is clear, and the governor's proposal supports mental health, students' mental health, academic success, and well-being, not by eliminating tech, but by creating spaces where students can fully engage with learning and with their peers. We also strongly support Governor Hochul's AI safety proposals and will reduce harm to children from AI companions and would make it illegal to use AI to create child sexual abuse material in New York. And Common Sense is in Albany today on a number of other issues with the same goal, to protect our kids online. My husband and I have struggled to manage screen time for our sons, even though we both have tech backgrounds. Our kids and their peers are constantly lured by the algorithms embedded in the social media and the video game sharing platforms. They cannot stop. Their brains have not developed yet, making it difficult for them to complete their homework, to get enough sleep, and maintain their health, and to finish their work and learn within the classroom because their focus is somewhere else. Children's and teens' brains are still developing, particularly in areas related to self-control, impulse regulation, and decision-making, so it makes it hard for them to stop watching. Their brains do not fully mature until the mid to late 20s, which makes it even harder for students to resist the instant gratification of the technology in the school. Research shows that teens who spend more than 3 hours a day on social media double their risk for depression and anxiety, and multiple studies demonstrate that the explosion of social media use has contributed to a rise in anxiety, depression, rates of self-harm, and suicide among children and teens. Families will always play a critical role in managing our children's digital lives. We recognize this, but we cannot do this alone. It's too difficult and we can't manage it at the schools. Just ask any parent. We need the state of New York on our side. We urge the New York State Legislature to pass these proposals this session. Each day we wait to intervene puts millions of children and teens and their educational future and well-being at risk. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. At this point, Muna Heaven, who is an attorney and a member of Common Sense Media. She has very important remarks to share as well.
Thank you, Governor. Good morning. My name is Muna Heaven. I'm a child welfare attorney, mama ambassador, and my most important job, I'm a single mother of a 16-year-old. We live in Harlem, where my daughter goes to public school, and she's in the 11th grade. I don't think I've ever met a single parent in my entire career that doesn't want their child to do well, even with their own faults. And what we want is for children, our children, to be able to be the best that they can be, also in school. They should be able to learn without any distractions. We know well that the exploitation of children is not only physical, but it has taken root digitally in the minds of our children. The internet has indeed spun a very clever web, where social media has locked the minds of children in the seemingly eternal abyss of the endless scroll. The rate of addiction is clear, it is harmful, and sometimes it kills. To me, school is a sacred, beautiful place where eager minds should have the space to flourish. School should never be a place where there is competition between learning and scrolling. This is why I'm very much in favor of Governor Hochul's bell-to-bell distraction-free schools proposal. As a mother, I'm glad that it provides ways for parents to be able to contact their children in the day if necessary. There are also exceptions for children with IEPs and also for those children who need an internet-enabled device to manage a medical condition. The time has certainly come for us to reestablish some balance in our classrooms. The World Wide Web has indeed become a worldwide problem. But in New York State, this is where the changes get made. And our governor is not afraid to run this race at the front. So we look to New York again to light the way. Last year, we passed groundbreaking proposals to protect kids and teens online. We've done it before, and we're going to do it again. But we absolutely need your help. I want to thank Governor Hochul and Common Sense Media for inviting me to join this important event today. I want to thank you on behalf of every child that I've had the privilege of serving in my career, and I ask that you invest in their present and their future. Thank you.
Well said. Well done. Now we're going to hear from an 11th grade student, Lillian Dorr. Lillian? Lynn?
Good morning. My name is Lily Dewar. I'm a junior at Massapequa High School on Long Island. I think that cell phones should be restricted at school because they are a big distraction. Everyone at school is always checking their phones, even when they should be focusing on their work or even having a face-to-face conversation with their friend. I often feel the need to pick up my phone and look at it, maybe to check a text or to look at the latest updates on my social media. During free periods like lunch and study hall, everyone is always checking their phones, and I think we do it purely out of habit. I think that if we couldn't look at our phones during the school day, my friends and I would feel much more relaxed and less anxious and distracted. I'd love to experience an entire school day that's free of phones and free of social media. With social media use, I used to feel very insecure about what people posted about me and my friends' posts that did not include me. I would compare myself to other people I knew and the friendships that they had within themselves. This gave me a lot of stress and anxiety. The main app that I use is TikTok. When the ban happened, I didn't go on the app for about a month. I missed using TikTok and felt upset. But soon after, I started to feel happier because I wasn't coping with anxious feelings through an app. I began to journal and be mindful about how I feel using my phone less. I hesitated from re-downloading the app because I didn't know if it would give me anxiety again. Ultimately, I decided to re-download it, and I now use it significantly less than I used to. I remind myself what is important to me and what makes me happy. I also remind myself that social media posts are a snapshot of someone's life or day and never the whole story. This year, I'm taking a lot of tough classes, and I have a part-time job. I am also in a play and take dance lessons. Getting sleep, for me, is hard. I often look at these apps when I'm supposed to be winding down. Instead of these apps relaxing me, they ramp me up and make it very difficult for me to fall asleep. So, as a result, a lot of days I feel tired. I hope Governor Hochul and New York lawmakers will help kids like me have a healthier relationship with our phones. I want to experience all the things that high school has to offer, the good and the bad, but I want to experience this as much as I can in real life and not through an app. Thank you, Governor Hochul, for what you are doing for New York kids like me.
Thank you. Very good.
Thank you.
All right, so while we have our advocates from Common Sense Media, we'll take a couple on-topic questions about schools and cell phones. Yeah, Rhonda.
Hi.
In a perfect world, what would enforcement of this policy look like? And would it be the same across all school districts in the state?
Right, and we're not looking for students to be suspended, number one. I mean, I think there's been efforts before that have failed because they were too aggressive. I also I'm deferential to local school districts, and they can set in place how they want the phone stored. That is their local decision, even what consequences ensue from that. So this is an area we'll leave it up to them, except that we expect that they'll abide by the bell-to-bell policy and with no exceptions to that, except for the ones related to or English as a second language, health conditions, or if it's pulled out during a technology class, for example, and the teacher allows it. Those are our conditions.
But do you worry that they might not, certain school districts or certain students might not comply if they don't feel the consequences are heavy?
You're talking about what consequences they get from the state?
Or each school district, but as mandated
Yeah.
by the state?
There'll be regulations related to how this is implemented, and that question will be addressed in the regulations, so everyone will have full awareness of what the consequences are.
Anything else on phones in schools?
Governor, I hope this will bring up reading and math scores, as those have consistently declined over the past couple of years.
The evidence is clear that there has been a decline. Cell phones have been prevalent in schools for about a decade now, particularly more so in the last 5 or 6 years. And really, the pandemic drove a lot of young people that was their only connection with the world when they were learning from home. So I do hope and anticipate, and I'm not going to be held to a number that is going up to a certain percentage increase, but common sense, which I run my life by common sense, says that when the students are spending more time listening to the teacher and focus on what is being supposed to be absorbed by them instead of staring at something that is a complete distraction, I have no doubt that this will result in better academic outcomes, which are really important to us, not just for the students, but also their future success in the workplace and beyond.
John?
Governor, have you had a chance to look at the legislature's one-house budgets on this? It appears the Assembly omitted it entirely, and the Senate may have added a caveat that could allow schools to allow for phones during non-instructional periods. That obviously wouldn't be bell to bell. Is that open to negotiation?
Well, we'll certainly begin negotiations on the entire budget, and I've not had time to digest every part of what the one houses show, but I'm committed to fighting for bell to bell. This is what the experts say, this is what the parents want, this is what the teachers want. I mean, our teachers are saying, we heard this from Molly, if a student has it banned during a class, then they have it during recess, and then they come back, the next teacher has to be the enforcer. And then the next teacher after gym class has to be the enforcer. It'll be wildly distracting, even more so for the teachers. Do you want to comment on that, Molly? Molly's our teacher. Come on up here.
Thank you. I think another really important part here is about the equity. By making it bell to bell, as Governor Hochul says, equity comes into play because now we are not talking specifically to one student or another teacher or some teachers having one idea and other teachers having another idea. Teachers are hoping that bell to bell means that you have a space to understand this is the rule for everyone, and this is the rule for every teacher, and this is the rule for every student, and I appreciate that you're standing by that.
Can you just give your first and last name?
Yes, thank you. Molly Stammel.
Um,
Okay. Molly Stammel, Stammel.
A teacher who's also the mother of Colin, who is a 6th grader who we've liberated from school today, but his voice was important. You owe me one, Colin.
Anything else on phones in schools? Tom?
Governor, the 13.5 million, is that because districts asked for it? And, are you willing to spend more? Because some of the math shows if you were to account for yonder pouches or
Right.
cubbies for everyone, it would be 6 times more than that.
Right. And some schools have already gone ahead with this. I mean, I visited some in this area, and they literally have what looks like your behind-the-door shoe rack when you're first out of college and you have that tiny apartment, there's no place to put your shoes. You hang them in a shoe rack. They literally had something analogous to that. So there are very low-tech ways to do it that have worked extremely well. So there's no obligation that there be the most expensive version, but we're putting money on the table just to show that we're there to help the school districts that are high need, and this would help them get over the finish line here. And so I'll look at the numbers, but I'm sure there's areas where it wouldn't, some would even expect no funding for this. So I think that's a reasonable amount of money just to help some school districts. All right.
Thank you to our guests. We're going to excuse you
Thanks,
now.
Colin. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. Thanks, Lillian. Great to see you. Really appreciate the conversation. Thank you.